Howdy folks, TJ from Hyper Coliseum here, and today we're bringing you another deck profile. This week I'm going to be doing Megidramon. Apologies that there was no members first post on what you guys wanted to see this week. We were all pretty exhausted from all the events happening throughout the month, every weekend, and even just we had a lot of stuff going on. All of our lives, May's just been very insane, and I got sick on the days that I normally make the post. So I just forgot, but I'll make sure that we have it this week. But I figured with everything going on, with all the decks that we have already covered, Megidra's been doing a lot of crazy stuff recently, so I figured now would be a pretty good time to go over it. And I've played the deck a fair bit, and it is fun. It is very, very fun. But before we jump into that, just want to say thank you to all our members for supporting the channel, and we appreciate you guys so much. And if you're seeing this video when it goes public, hopefully you enjoy this content. Hopefully this deck profile is helpful. If you're wanting to just try and get a little bit of insight into Megidra, if so, and you did enjoy it, maybe drop a like, hit the subscribe button, stick around. We got plenty of Digimon content, and without further ado, let's jump into the profile. So, first things up, we run 4 copies of the promo Gigi. This is just the best card. It just lets you recycle things out of your trash with Growler Gallon in name when you get deleted. So, it's just your way of grabbing pieces back. You'll never grab back your rookies off of it, but you don't really need to. You can... There's so many other ways of grabbing things out of trash or just getting a rush on your bodies. Just being able to get some of your pieces back. Typically, I will grab Galantmons that I mill off of this. But sometimes if I'm missing a 4 or a 5, specifically the War Growl. The War Growl is another one that you'll want to recycle because you really only run... Like, your BT-21 War Growl is just extremely important. He's like your whole combo starter, so you really need to see. Moving on from that, we're on 4 copies of the Rush Guillemon from EX4, where he gains Rush on play if there's 20 or more cards in both total in both players' trashes, or between both players' trashes. He's like there's so the Megidramon combo stuff is just so insane with how quickly it fills up trash and how memory efficient it can be in doing that. And then with the ability to just spit out bodies that can continuously keep swinging. And even set up if you have enough memory to go to spit out another body after it dies. There's just so many things you can do. But so just a really important piece in the deck. It is one of your you need it for the aggression. You need it to kind of continue your chaining of combos once you get far enough into the game. It's just very important. We're on 2 copies of Guillemon X from EX8. Just good search. When you're building up your stack, it helps you put another body in the trash when you do delete your stack after you do your initial Megidramon play. In addition to that as well, you'll also, if you pop anything while you're going up your line with your Growlmons or your War Growls, getting that extra memory can be helpful. Something to keep in mind, both the Guillemon X and the Growlmon X from EX8, you will not get their memory when you do the Megidramon effect and delete all bodies on the board, because you're already being deleted, and Megidramon's also being deleted as well in that process, so it doesn't see the chance to get the memory from the Gil X and Growl X inherits. Just something to keep in mind, because I know some people get a little confused on that, but it's not on the board to do it. Everything gets deleted at the same time, so he can't get that effect. And then rounding out our rookies, we're in 4 copies of the BT-21 Guillemon. This is just your best rookie just to build a line with. The on-deletion gain 1 memory is just what helps you cycle turn. Late enough into the game, you can just plus memory off going into Megidramon sometimes. So it's a very, very good card, and it just helps you cycle, get some draw and whatnot. He's a really good on-play rookie just to, get that card, get your trash set up a little bit, get some extra, draw. It's good. Moving on to 4s, we're on 3 copies of the Growl X. This card is really, really important for being able to just kind of wide board bodies after your Megidramon stack blows up. Being able to gain the on-deletion effect to play a card with Guillemon in its name from your trash without paying the cost is really, really nice. And then also just the extra draw and trash cycle is really good. Setting up trash, we want to do that more, and it's just nice. And then on top of that too, it's the whole idea of just having that extra body in the stack to put into trash just helps us hit that sort of 20 mark that we want to hit really bad. It helps us hit it faster. So solid card. Aside from that, we run 4 copies of the BT-21 Growlmon. He has on player when digivolving, you delete something with 4k or less. If you don't delete something, you trash top 2 cards of your deck. Really, really good. Has same inherit as the BT-21 Guillemon. He can be used to help clear annoying floodgates that would stop you from playing Digimon by effects or reducing Digivolution costs. And if he doesn't do that, if there's nothing to clear with that, then he just helps you set up your trash. So he's honestly just a really, really good piece. And is definitely like one of your better level 4s to rely on there. And then rounding out our level 4 lineup, we run 2 copies of the old EX3 Growlmon. Keep in mind, it's eroded. It looks like they don't have it eroded on the site, but it is supposed to be when digivolving, you delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. And then if nothing's deleted by that effect, you trash top 2 cards of both players' decks. So this can really help you generate that trash acceleration really well because it's trashing both you and your opponents. So it's essentially putting 4 cards in the trash for your effects there. But it also just another means of clearing out those annoying floodgates, and there can be plenty of times where you can evo this guy over like let's say you do your big Megidramon play and you had like a Growl X effect live in the stack. You can spit out like 2 Guillemons, 1 Rush, and then like, you know, just 1 whatever, yada yada, and then just like go up your line again with enough memory, and then get the sec +1 inherit to actually be useful off of this, because you can actually kind of wideboard off of your Megidramon stack blowing up. So good card, solid piece, and we like it, but it's not as like as consistent as the 21 Growl. We want that extra memory when we moving on to 5s. We're in 2 copies of War Growl X. Powerful card. I'm not going to say too much on him. I mean, just being able to get the +3 KDP and it can't be returned to hand decks is really nice. He's helpful for those matchups where you're like where you can generate enough memory, but you're stuck trying to swing over a big body to get your Megidramon to kind of get to where it needs to go. Admittedly, you don't always care, but you do want to still try and get as much damage as you can. So being able to threaten that against your opponent is really nice. And then the fact that he just clears a 10k or less DP Digimon on Evo if you have the War Growl sources can be helpful. For just clearing out like other annoying bodies or like ace threats that you might be worried about. Typically, you probably won't be able to get your full Megidramon play off the turn that you go into this guy, just because of the 1 extra memory it costs to go into him, on top of the fact that typically we're swinging with the 21 War Growl to just go into Megidra while we're swinging. But it's fine. You know, sometimes it's okay as long as we can put ourselves in a good board state. That all being said, there is some people are opting to not run him at all, and they're running the Skullgrave from BT-21. He's really, really strong. Being able to trash a card to delete like both you and your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level is really, really nice, because you can just sort of blow up your own stack and then use the Growl X on deletion effect to spit out a Guillemon off of that, while also, you know, controlling your opponent's board a little bit. But I'm not running it personally because I haven't done too much testing with that version of the build, although I am leaning towards giving that build a shot because I do think it's good. I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's just a preference thing on what you want to do. It honestly might be the better way to go. I haven't tested it much. So, and also apologies if I got the effect wrong there, but I believe it's you trash a card to delete one of yours and then one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level at this. But it's good. It's solid because, you know, it helps you cycle stuff. But moving on, rounding out our level 5s, we have the BT-21 War Growl. This card's very good. This is our main bread and butter of getting our combo really kind of started, or at least maybe not our combo, but initiating our aggression. So he has on play and on Evo. You trash top 2 cards of your deck, and then you gain raid and retell until your opponent's turn ends. So it can make you a very scary threat to block if your opponent's Digimon is not immune. Or has some sort of protection, which is really, really nice. So that kind of helps answer some of those problems there. And then it has, when attacking once per turn, this Digimon may digivolve into a card with Megidramon or Chaos Gallantmon in its name in the hand. For every 10 total cards in both players' trashes, you reduce the effect's Digivolution cost by 1. So this, like, pretty quickly, you can get to 20 cards in trash pretty fast with this deck. So you can typically be evoing into Megidra for 2 pretty quickly. And at that point, like, once you start getting to that like status in the game, you'll typically be at a point where you're gonna win usually. The deck is just insanely fast. The deck is so incredibly quick, to the point where like you look at it and you're like, oh, there's, you know, like you have a lot of memory generating resources, but even without it, like you just can go so fast. It's just, you just have to kind of figure out your pacing for it. But it's cool. So really good card. And then he has the inheritable of on deletion. You trash your opponent's top security card. So typically, when you do your Megidra play, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna swing and do 2 checks. Your stack's gonna blow up. You'll gain 2 memory, trash your opponent's top security, and then spit out 2 bodies. And then potentially on where you are, like trash wise, you might just have more swings from there with rush and everything. Which, I mean, you've already done 3 damage to your opponent, and so you're threatening game pretty quickly. It's good. It's a good deck. Moving on from that, we run our level 6 menagerie of Rush Gallants. So we have 2 copies of the BT-21 Gallantmon. You know, he's for every 2 cards in both players' trash, or for every 5 cards in both players' trashes, you reduce his play cost by 2, as long as you don't have a Digimon in play. He has Rush, of course, which is why we love him so much. And then on play on Evo when attacking, you know, he's a solid card. I think everyone's seen this Gallantmon at this point. But you know, he can dismantle boards very, very quickly. And he's typically just one of your many finishing pieces that you can utilize with this deck. I was initially running 1-1-1, but I found myself in really weird spots where I wouldn't be able to find them sometimes. Or if I did, I wouldn't be able to, like, I wanted to have more of them in my hand to kind of work off of. Apologies, talking too fast. But so far this ratio has been working really, really well. It's very consistent. And it feels pretty good from what I've tested so far. But he's a solid card, and the cool thing is that he pairs really well with the brand new promo Rush Gallant that we got as box toppers for BT-21. So this Gallantmon has, when this card would be played, if there's a Digimon with 13,000 DP or more, reduce the play cost by 2 for every 5 total cards in both players' trashes. He has Rush and Blocker, which is really good, and then on play or on Evo, he deletes something with 13,000 DP or more. If he doesn't delete something, he recovers one. So he can kind of give you a means of staying in the game a little bit longer if you need to. You typically won't. You're going to be the one kind of rushing the game really, really quickly. But he's very, very powerful in combination with our BT-21 Gallant. When you're kind of getting to that late game board state where you have the trash built up enough, you can very quickly, you know, you can play out Rush Gallant for free if you have 35 cards in trash. And then can just, you know, across both players' trashes. You can play Rush Gallant for free, do its swing, whatever, yada yada. If it lives, you can go ahead and drop your promo Gallant, because he just looks for anything with 13,000 DP or more. You'll drop promo Gallant, you'll pop your Gallantmon with Rush, or if your opponent has something with 13,000 DP or more, then you'll be able to go ahead and, you know, pop their stack or whatever, and you can play him without popping your Rush Gallant. And then you can swing with him, and, you know, just, it kind of goes nutty from there. It also can be good too, like, if you're like Megidramon gets stunned for whatever reason and can't swing when turn swings back around you or whatnot, being able to drop this promo Gallant to pop your Megidramon to get all of your effects can be pretty helpful. Obviously you lose out on some aggression there, but you know, it can help you kind of set up your trash and cycle some memory and everything else. So both solid cards. And then rounding out our Gallantmon lineup there, we have one copy of an Evil Gallant. He's just really good for floodgating opponent's board states early. Alliance can be very sneaky and help a lot. And just, I mean, he's a powerful card. It's Medieval Gallant. He's a really solid card. So we'd like to just have him as a one-of. You typically won't really need him too often, but he can be helpful depending on the matchup. And then last but not least for our level 6 is the big bad dragon himself, Megidramon. This guy he's such a cool Digimon. He's so cool, and this art is so amazing. So he inherently has security attack +1. Evo's for 5 normally, but can Evo for 4 over level 5 with Groundmon in name. End of attack, he deletes all Digimon, so he's effectively a dark hole when he finishes his swing. And then on deletion, you may play one play cost 3 or lower Digimon card with Guilmon or Growlmon in its name. Keep in mind, he cannot spit out Gallants. He can only spit out Guils or Growls. They tried to be mindful of that, because if you could have spit out the Rush Gallant or Promo Gallant off of this guy, it would have been insane. But spit out one of those in name from your trash without paying the cost, and then for every 10 total cards in both players' trashes, you add 2 to this effect's play cost maximum. So as soon as you hit 20 cards in trash, you're already spitting out your War Growl, which is pretty nice, and can kind of just threaten lethal like on the following turn if your opponent can't answer it, which is good. it's solid. Like that's honestly, it happened to me just the other night where I was playing against Ben, and he set up a board where he just had a Guilmon and a War Growl on the board, and he choked me to like 1 or 2, and I just didn't have an answer. I couldn't do anything about it, which, you know, it's just how it goes. But it's another reason of just how insane this deck can be, of just how easily, even if you don't win the game on the turn that you do your big play, you can just threaten lethal so effectively. But anyways, so really good card. really solid. We like it. Also, he has a rule where he's treated as a Chaos Gallantmon. I hope we get a good Chaos Gallantmon soon. We haven't had a Chaos Gallant since EX4 with the rare that we had. That was like, he's bad. Yeah, he's pretty iffy. He's not great. But he's just like, you know, it's not a great card. So hopefully we get something good soon. Moving on from that, options. So we do not run Tamers in this deck. Initially, I was running Analog Youths, but the more I tested and the more I kind of felt around and looked at other people's lists as well, everyone just seems to be moving away from Tamers. Like, you don't really need the Analog Youths. They can be nice for consistent, like, egg hatching aggression and everything like that, but because you just spit everything out on the board and everything, you can get so many things rush so easily, you don't need it. So instead, we just are all in on resource generation, pretty much. So we have 3 copies of Grav Crush, where you gain 2 memory, but then at the end of the turn, you lose 2 memory, which is pretty good. We have 1 copy of Jack Raid because it's restricted to 1. You can very easily play around with ratios and get a 4th Grav Crush in there. I don't think you really need it necessarily, but you can. It probably wouldn't hurt. Admittedly, like, out of my list here, if I was going to cut something, I'd probably cut Digimon I Designed to put it in there. But we'll see. I'm still messing around, and this build is still developing as time goes on. I'm even looking at this now. I'm like, maybe I put the Gil X to 3, drop Wargal X entirely, put 1 Skullgray in there, and then drop the Digimon I Designed and put a 4th Grav Crush. I don't know. You can play around with it. But anyways, you know, this is the list I've been testing, so I wanted to do this list for the video. But yeah, so solid memory gain options. You know, they're really, really good. Thankfully, Grav Crush does not do anything out of security. If it did, that card would have been restricted a long time ago. It might still get restricted just because of how this deck plays and if other decks start to abuse Grav Crush. Because it's definitely always been, like, abused here and there, but I think that as the game gets faster and we get more red decks that just have more ways of playing, especially if they get access to Rush more frequently, Grav Crush just really, it gets this, it falls into the same category as Jack Raid, as Blinding Ray, as Hammer Spark, etc. Jack Raid's really good, of course. You know, you gain 1 memory for every 10 cards in trash, gain 2 memory out of security, good piece. Calling from Darkness, you know, also restricted to 1, helps us get pieces out of the trash, but more importantly, it can help us clear our board to set up for other things. Like, let's say, for example, you spit out your Rush Guilmon, you do the swing, and he, like, checks an option in security and lives, and you only need, like, 1 more swing for a game. Like, you cleared your opponent's security, they're gone, but you can't play, like, your Rush Gallant because you have stuff on board. Well, here you go. Pop the Guilmon, and then just you can play out the Gallant after. He helps you set up board states to be more in your favor, or get those on deletion effects that you want to see if you don't have Rush on the stack, but you just want the extra memory or the extra cards in trash. So pretty good. Moving on from that, 1 copy of the Digimon I Designed. This option's pretty solid. So main, you draw 1 trash 1 card in your hand, and then you place this card in the battle area, and then it has on your turn when effects delete your Digimon. One of your Digimon with Guilmon, or Groundmon in its name may Digivolve into a Digimon card with Groundmon or Gallantmon or Megidramon in its name in the trash without paying the cost. And then out of security, it gains a memory and places in the battle area. So its security effect is honestly really, really good. It has saved me in multiple games when I was running it at 3 before. But it didn't feel impactful enough as a card itself to, like, warrant that many spaces for it, so I cut it down to the 1. And even then, I'm just considering cutting it entirely. Typically, what you want to do with this card is you'll swing with your Megidramon, you'll blow up the entire board, and then you'll spit something out. And when that thing that gets spit out, this card activated the second the whole board blew up. So it sees that deletion, and then you can basically sort of finish resolving Megidramon's effect to play out a body, and then activate the delay on this to go ahead and Digivolve that body into something else. It's pretty good, it's solid, but it's a bit of a slower playstyle because it's a bit more setup than what you want to do. Like, typically, even with, like, a lot of these cards, like the trainings and the boosts, you'll rely on them coming out of security, or you'll just play them in, like, turn 1, turn 2, and then, like, you're going from there. Yeah, you don't really, like, you want to try and go as fast as you can with this deck, so taking a long time to set up can just be kind of iffy, and this card just is part of that and doesn't immediately generate value into building your stack the following turns. So it's, you know, it's an okay card, but you want things that are going to help you with that initial line. Moving on from that, we're on 2 copies of Purple Scramble. I know some people actually don't even run Scramble at all. I think it's really good. Just the fact that if you get caught in a weird play or in a weird instance where you're not able to get the bodies out, or maybe something happens to your trash, or, you know, whatever, like, or you get in a weird spot, right, where you're not able to keep turn after everything in your board gets cleared. Being able to spit out Rush Guilmons from trash at the start of your turn is really, really strong. On top of the fact of being able to, you know, grab pieces back from trash as well. It also has saved me multiple times of trying to go into the BT-21 War Growl, where I'll just be like one memory short of being able to like get to where I need to go for the memory for that play. And Scramble just gets me across the finish line. Very helpful. So that's a nice thing. It's a solid card. I run it at 2. I wouldn't run more. You could even run less if you wanted to. But I think that's a good sweet spot for it. And then just 4 purple memory boosts for search and 4 wisdom training. I'm not going to linger on those. You know, we love our memory gain and we love our cost reduction. Overall, the deck is, like I said, it's very fast. It's very powerful. You can OTK people like turn 3 fairly consistently, which is terrifying. But it's the reason why the deck's been doing so well. And I mean, if anyone's been like looking at like events over in Asia and everything, it's only been on the rise more and more. And even here in like the English side of the card game, it's starting to see play at more events because people are realizing just how powerful it is. You do have some rough matchups with how many like things that have like protection and blocker in the game right now. But even with all of that, the sheer fact that you just can be so memory abusive, you can get around a lot of those blockers and protections pretty efficiently. You can really put them at a point where they don't inhibit you at all. So you know, like you have enough aggression to really get past a lot of those big blockers like V armors, like Galactic, etc. Honestly, this deck is a pretty rough matchup for Galactic because Rush Gallant is just the perfect piece to counter him because he just attempts to pop him when you play him and then he attempts to pop him again when you swing. And typically Galactic's only going to have like the 1 layer of protection, maybe 2. It just depends on how well their trash setup went beforehand, but you're so fast that you kind of put them in a position where they can't do that very well. But yeah, so it's just a solid deck. You know, we've been seeing this deck and Sakuya in particular both really kind of on the rise recently, I think, more than anything else. I think part of that is because they both have pretty good matchups into Royal Knights and other decks in the format. Against each other, shutting off the on-plays can be really rough for you, but not everything is reliant on on-plays. And not to mention, you can potentially mill some cards from your opponent to put them in a bad spot. So I'm not too sure exactly kind of how that matchup goes all the way. But I mean, I think it can really kind of go either way pretty consistently. I don't think that one deck really has a huge edge over the other necessarily. Yeah, I think that's about it. That covers the profile. Like I said, you know, the deck also outside of the like you don't have to run Medieval Gallants, and even Promo Gallant you can run less of. So the deck's pretty affordable overall. Like a lot of these options do not cost much. The whole like line is all, you know, there's like 1 rare in the whole actual like evolution line. Everything else is commons and uncommons. The promo geekies definitely have started to go up in price. But if you're looking for a fairly like inexpensive deck that like you could maybe commit more money towards to get some better pieces for in the future, but still play at a pretty decent level, even if you just kind of cheap out on it a little bit or don't want to spend that much money on it, this is a good deck. This is definitely a very, very good deck for that. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this profile. Hopefully I kind of gave some decent insight on how certain things work, or how fast it can go. Hopefully this build is a good starting point, at least for some people that are wanting to try and start playing around with Megidramon. If you have any thoughts, if you have anything that you would do more or any questions about stuff, drop it down in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye!